There we go. And just so you know, I will upload this to YouTube and I will share it with you. I can share my outline, but I don't know that it will be particularly useful to you, to be honest. It's just kind of a thing to keep me from going down a rabbit hole and keep me on track so that I don't waste your time. So who am I? Oh, we've got a new person coming in who is not on my list. So we'll figure out who that is in a second. So anyhow, my name is Kim Sherman Labram. I am a business consultant with the Idaho Small Business Development Center here at Boise State. And I get to say here at Boise State because I'm actually in my office for the first time in a very long time. And so anyhow, the SBDC exists to help small business owners be more successful. So we do that through a core set of services. The first one is one-on-one confidential consulting. And so if you're interested, you contact us, set up a meeting and come in and talk to, myself or one of my colleagues, depending on your needs. My area of expertise tends to be the digital world and anything that's online. I actually have a degree in graphic design, so that's why Canva is kind of an interesting place for me to talk about. And so, but we also have other people whose expertise are, in finance and rolling out technology and all of that kind of stuff. So we also do trainings, as you are about to experience, and some of you have already experienced. And some of them we do in-house, meaning that we teach them ourselves. And some of them we teach, we have somebody else come from out of the business community. So like our QuickBooks classes, we have a bookkeeper or CPA teach those classes for us. And sometimes we partner with organizations like community education, which is really great because community education does all of my marketing for me, and I just get to sit back and present, which is really nice. So, and then for those of you, I don't think most of you are here in the Boise area, but I can't guarantee that anymore with how global we've gone with these classes. So I've had people who are, I happen to know Ginger, who's online, is in Salmon. So, so she's attending from the middle of Idaho up in the mountains. So where it's probably still snowing actually. So, she just nodded yes. So anyhow, but in the Boise area, we do have 2 Accelerator Spaces, and those spaces are available for people who have a small business that are looking to get out of the house, get out of the garage, and they need space, they need support, and they need a kind of intensive mentoring situation. So if you're interested in that, I can certainly let you know more about it. So, anyhow, so that's what I said. So I'm monitoring the chat, and Rebecca is said something about salmon. Nice. So anyhow, so yeah, so that's the SBDC kind of in a nutshell. And so Canva is something that I actually discovered years ago, and it was terrible when it first came out. I mean, it was okay, but I have a degree in graphic design, and so I use Adobe products, the Adobe Creative Suite, so Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign and Premiere and all of those big high-powered software packages and stuff. And so when Canva first came out, I went and tried it out. I was like, ugh, this is terrible. I can't even imagine using this. And then I forgot about it for a couple of years. And then they revamped and they kept improving. And about 2 years ago, somehow it perked my attention again. And I went and looked at it and I went, wow, they have done some amazing work, and I'm so impressed with what they've done. So impressed to the point that I subscribe and pay for the premium version, even though I think that for most people, you can get by with the free that they offer. And by the way, most of everything that I'm going to be talking about is going to be the free, because I know that most small business owners have not a lot of money to spend. And so I'm going to talk about the free, but I will tell you about a couple of perks that I think are worth the $10 or so a month that it is to spend for the subscription to Canva. So that's me in a nutshell. And real quick, Rebecca, I saw that you logged on. I don't have you on my list. Can you tell me a little more about yourself and whatnot?
Yeah. So my name is Rebecca. I'm super into graphic design, photography, just anything kind of artsy. That's where I lie. And recently I've been doing a lot of research on being a social media manager, and I'm very, very fascinated with that idea and think it'd be something that I'd be really good at. And so I've dabbled with Canva, but I just thought taking a class specializing on Canva would be really good for me and something good to have under my belt. And so I thought this was like really cool. So I chose this class right away.
Oh, fantastic. So did you register like late last night or this morning?
No, I did a while ago.
What's because I don't have you on my list.
Mm.
Oh, no, I lied. There you are. You're on the second
Okay.
page. My bad. Turn the page over, Kim. All right. Ugh, so focused on getting this going. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So this is, for those of you who want to follow along, you're more than welcome to. But again, I am recording this. I'll upload it to YouTube. Hopefully get it sent to you today, probably Monday, just depends on how fast the YouTube upload takes. But when you sign up for a Canva account, you just whatever email address you want to link it to, you sign up and it's free, and you'll come to a homepage that looks very much like this, right? So it's super easy to do, and it's they're not asking you a lot of information. They don't ask you for a credit card. It's just in and out and done, right? But if you don't do the premium version, there's always going to be a little thing up at the top that's like, oh, hey, do you want to try the premium version? Of course, because that's how they make their money. So so what's the difference between free versus premium? Well, here's some of the things. So obviously free doesn't cost you anything unless you happen to pick some of the things, because you can pick items a la carte. Like if you wanted to use a picture that's not part of the free package, they're going to charge you like $8 for the use. Or if you want to use it some other element, and I will show you, don't worry about where those are at and stuff. So but the premium is $120 a year, which is pretty reasonable. And then you can also invite team members to your account. You used to have to pay extra for them, but then they changed that, and you can add up to 4 team members, which is really handy because I have one, and then our administrative assistant, who has recently taken over management of the newsletter for me, she needs to do pictures for the newsletter. And so rather than paying for a second account, I was able to add her on this one, and I can specifically like not let her see everything I'm working on. So she can just see the stuff that she needs to see, and she doesn't have to share all the stuff that I need to see. So anyhow, so that's really kind of a handy thing if you've got multiple people in your organization that might want to be using this. So that's one of the things. So with the free version, you get 250,000 templates. So that's pretty a lot. With the premium version, you get 420,000. So, it's about twice as many. Lots of design types. So social media, presentations, print items like business cards. You can even design logos in here, posters, flyers, whatever. I actually, for a scavenger hunt, made a real estate flyer using Canva one time. And I will tell you, by the way, with my graphic design background, even though I do have the creative suite, I default to Canva almost always for most things, unless I'm doing some intensive design like a logo or something like that. So we'll tell you, I have defaulted to this. So with the free version, you've got hundreds of thousands of free pictures and graphics, but with the premium version, you have 75 million photos, videos, audios, and graphics, right? So that, for me, having a large library of stock photography was really a great option. Yes, it would be better for you as a small business owner or whatever it is that you're doing to use your own photography, but sometimes we just don't have access or the eye or whatever it is. So it's just nice to have a little bit of stock photography in your pocket. So you can also, even though the free version, you can still ask people to collaborate on designs. So you can send those designs out to somebody and have them look at it and make changes changes and whatnot. So without them being actually on the team. So they can just have access to that single design. So that's still a collaboration tool that they allow. And then also, you know, the free version gives you 5 gigs of storage, where the premium version gives you 100 gigs of storage. So, you know, like for me with my premium account, I never delete anything. And I'm not in my premium account right at the moment because it's not as organized as I'd like it to be. And also because I've done some work for clients in there, I didn't want to show off any of their stuff. So I'm in a alternate account that I have that is just a free one. So okay, that is as much of the advertising I'm going to get. So I will tell you the one thing that I despise about Canva is their mobile app. I find it very, very hard to use to design something from the get-go. Okay, so if I needed to make a quick Instagram post, it's hard to do on a phone. It might be better on an iPad where it's a little bit bigger, and maybe this is my age. So for those of you who are younger millennials and zennials, and you're used to doing stuff on your phones, maybe you won't hate it as much. I hate it so much. So, but I have found that like if I have a design that I've already got and all I want to do is switch out a picture, it's actually pretty fast and great for that. So if I need to design something from a blank slate, I start on the desktop. Okay. By the way, just anytime that you have a question, please you can chat it to me, or you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and interrupt me. I'm happy to do that. So, all right. So here's our design. Here's our home screen. Check our time. So as you can see, you can design anything. We've got presentations, social media, you know, you've got this really nice little navigation pod right here. You can even do custom sized stuff. So the thing that really turned me on to Canva was the fact that everything is pre-sized for the social media platform that you're working with, or whatever it is that you're doing. So before Canva, when I would do stuff in Photoshop or Illustrator, I'd be like, oh, what are the dimensions for Facebook posts? And I have to go and do a Google search and find the dimensions, and it's always in pixels. And I'm like, what's pixels to inches? And do the whole conversion thing. They do it. It's all right here. So I know if I click on a Instagram post or a Facebook post or Pinterest, it's going to be in the right dimensions and size for that platform, which is, it saves me so much time. I can't even tell you. So you can see what's right here is you can see there's a presentation, posters, an infographic. You can even do a resume on here, cards, desktop wallpaper. I mean, it just goes on and on. Look, ebook covers, that might come in kind of handy for some of you authors in the back in the audience. Zoom virtual backgrounds, Instagram stories. I don't know if anybody's put together an Instagram story before, but you know, it can be a lot of work, and this can really help you, especially if you create a template for your brand. So anyhow, if you don't find anything scrolling sideways, you can scroll down and you're like, oh, look, Instagram posts. And they're always going to show you kind of their pre-designed templates. And very rarely do I start with a template, but I think that's probably my graphic design background, is that I always like to start with a blank slate and go from there. But I understand that not everybody has that background. And so the blank slate can be very intimidating. And so you can start with one of these and just move things around. And I'm going to show you how to do both here in just a moment. But so you can just kind of go down and scroll. You could see flyers and stories, all the things that I just told you about. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can search. So when you click, you get this nice drop down to say, oh, what am I looking for? Custom size, or you know, Facebook post, Facebook cover, Facebook event. I can do the actual searching for it. So it's all there. It depends on how you want to go and find it. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just do an Instagram post for giggles. And here, when I clicked on that, it showed me all of these really fun little templates that we've got. I'm going to pick, oh, cupcakes. Those look like fun. Okay, so it comes up, it's already here, and you're like, okay, and it's got some text, it's got pictures on it, it's got things going on. And as you select, you can tell that I've selected because it gets this little turquoise bar around it. But what happens if I decide, I don't really like the eggs and bread that's behind it? I'm like, okay, well, if I double click on it, it selects that. And so I know it's there, and I can actually move it around and have more of the picture showing. It is a like a 4x6 picture. And so it's sized pretty much as large as it can go. But I could do something like this and make it really big. And then I can just see the big bread showing off. Okay. If I decide I don't like that, then I can just hit delete. Well, I should be able to hit, maybe I have to hit. So sometimes that's a problem with the template, is you have to like hit delete a couple of times. And so if it doesn't work the first time, just do it the second time. Also make sure that you have selected the right item. And by the way, if you do anything and you say, hey, I didn't mean to do that, hit Control Z as in zebra on your keyboard, and that will undo. By the way, that works in just about any program on a computer. Control Z is your best friend. So, oh, I didn't want to do that, so maybe I'm going to do something else. So I can hit a right click, and there's a few things like copy, paste, delete, add a comment for somebody who's collaborating with you, or I can detach it from the background, meaning that it becomes a separate image like what the cupcakes are. Or I can just delete it. I have to double click it to delete it. And then I'm going to go over to the photos, and I'm going to search lots and lots of photos, and I'm going to pick up kitchen. Let's go search for kitchen. And there's all kinds of kitchen pictures over here. And I know this is kind of tiny for you to see, but I was kind of scroll down until I see. Now, as I'm hovering over any of these, if you see a little crown, that means that it is part of the premium. So if I wanted to use that, I would have to pay for it. And it just says, oh, it's $1. I was wrong. It used to be a little more expensive. So I kind of like this picture right here. So I'm just going to click and drag it on over. And as you see, as I dragged it slowly, it went ahead and filled up the entire space. If I didn't want it to do that, if I wanted it to be a separate element, where did that picture go? I can see how it just filled up that space automatically. But if I want it to just be there, it automatically, this is a problem with templates, is it automatically starts to fill in these areas for you. So, but you can move it around and change it. You can even resize it and just make that different. So if I wanted to change this background color, it's kind of gray and gross, and I don't really particularly like it. One of the cool things that it does, should have done. See, and this is the thing, sometimes it does stuff and sometimes it doesn't. Every time I see, normally when I have a picture in a design, it will give me the palette that's in the picture, and then I can pick colors that are in the palette. That's odd that it's not showing that right now, but it probably will when I go to a blank design. It probably has something to do with the template. So anyhow, so if I want to change that background, we have default colors right here. So I could make that any of the defaults that are right there. I can pick that up. Or if I decide that I really want a different color, oh, this is an upgraded version, is you click document colors right here, and you can actually go through and pick out a color. So for those of you who don't know, I'm using Chrome as a web browser, and Chrome has the ability to put extensions on that add extra functionality to your browser window. And one of the extensions that I've added is what's called a color picker. And it's also called eyedropper. And so if I want to sample a color off of anywhere on the web, on my picture, because it didn't give me those colors automatically, I can just go into click this little eyedropper that's in my browser, and it's going to come up here and it says pick a color from the web page. And I'm going to say, I would really like kind of this butter yellow that's right here. So I've sampled it, and then if I go back over here, it's going to give me what's called the hex code. So the hex code is that hashtag or number sign 6-digit code, and I can just cut and paste, and then I can go back to here and add that color right there. And then there's that really nice light yellowy color that I sampled from there. If I wanted to sample the cinnamon, I could do the same thing. So you get the idea. By the way, that is if you want to know how to do that, let me know. And I have a video that I've made out on YouTube that I can send you. We have a question from Lynn saying she has the nonprofit version, and are any of the premium images available to me for free? That is a good question, Lynn. I am not super familiar with the nonprofit version, but I can certainly look that up for you. So Conda has a question. Can you add your own photos and images to the update, to a template? Absolutely. And I will actually get to that in just a second. And Brittany asks, is there a color picker extension for Safari? I would guess there is, but just do a search. I am not familiar. I don't use Safari except for on my phone. And so I doubt that there is for the phone, the mobile version, but if you're using it on, because Safari is something you use with a Mac, right? I'm almost sure of it. Then just do a Google search. I'm sure it will be able to tell you that for sure. So sorry, I'm not a Mac user, although I use an iPad and an iPhone. So okay, so going back, I'm just going to kind of walk through all of our items that you can do here and kind of talk about. So I've already talked about templates. So this is what a template looks like. It's fine. It works okay. And again, it's a good place to get you started. Now you see that I've changed this color and I've made this text almost you can't read it at all. So I can go up here and go to the text color and pick a new color and just change it right there. If I don't like the what the font is, I can change it. They have a fairly decent library of fonts, but as you see, the ones that have the crown by them are not available in the free version. So, and I will say also in the premium version, you can upload fonts to use. So if you have a brand identity and you're using Century Gothic or something and you want to upload that, then you can do that, but you have to have the premium version to do that. So okay, so anytime you click on something, you go over here, this is the color, the text color, and you can just pick any of those text colors. And I'm picking dreadful color combinations, but just to see that they're all right there and you can see that. So you can pick your text up, move it around. By the way, you can duplicate an item. So if you've got this little guy, which is really cool with a little curved text and you want to make another one, see this little duplicate? Oh, that duplicates the page, not the element. So where's my duplicate? Copy, Control C. And then I hit Control V and there's a second one right there. So Control C and Control V, Control C is in copy, Control V is in Victor, because paste is, the Control P was already taken with print. So you have to do that. Control V are your friends. They work across the board on Windows machines. I do know on Macs, it's Apple, the little Apple sign, and Control C or Apple C and Apple V. So anyhow, if I don't like that, I just delete it. It's gone. It's no problem. So there's our template. So Conda asked, can I, yes, I will. Can you upload your own pictures? Absolutely, right there. So I can click upload and you can upload images, audio, and video. And I'm going to click upload, and you can upload it from your device. So you could upload it from your computer that you're on. This is the one place where it might be kind of useful on your mobile, is to upload. If you've got a bunch of pictures in your phone that you want to use, it would be easier just to upload it into your Canva account from your mobile device and then go to the desktop and use them from there. You can also upload from Facebook, Google Drive, Instagram, or Dropbox. So Jody asked, can you review how to pull up colors? Okay, so if I click on the element that I want to change the color of, there'll be a little color block right here that says the color, and then you just click on it. And then you'll have your color palette that you've used so far. Okay. Does that answer your question? Did I probably jumped right into that and didn't explain where it was at. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that. I get so click happy. I'm like, look at all the things I have to show you. So, okay. So yeah, so you can definitely upload. And if I click upload and just pick, oh Lord, I have no idea what this picture is, but let's see what it is. I'm sure it's nothing. Oh, it's a picture of saffron. That's nice. Okay. So it just uploads that quick and boom. And that's how fast it is to upload and bring it up. Obviously, your internet speed, wherever you're at, probably will have some effect on it. Why I'm at my office today is because the university has really, really, really fast internet. So makes it a little easier. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to start a new design so I can show you, because I've kind of played with the template. Now I want to do one for that's just from blank so you can kind of see, and I'm just going to continue with the Instagram post just for giggles. So it's right there and you can hit plus and Instagram post. By the way, I meant to mention this earlier. This is my first time teaching this class. It was a request from when I taught Instagram earlier this spring, and people wanted it. And I know that there's people that were in that class that, any feedback that you have about the content and what the presentation is and whatnot, please let me know, because this is obviously a popular class. We're going to repeat it, and I want to refine it and make it more useful and productive for the attendees. So I'm sorry that you're kind of my guinea pigs today, but I think you'll get, should be getting some stuff out of this. So, okay. Anyhow, here is my blank post. So that gets me to where I want to start. So I've already mentioned the upload. So if I wanted to go take that upload, I could take it in. And if I want it just to be an element that's sitting on top, I can do that. Or I can click and drag it so that it fills the entire space. It really depends on what I want to do. So while I have this up, I'm going to talk about some of the effects that you can do with the filter or with photos, pardon me. So some of these are going to be, you can't do all of them with like there's a background remover that's in the premium version. But, I can go through and change, and that just kind of made it a little more vibrant. I don't know if you can see on there. I can tell. So I'm just kind of, these are some of the photographic, like that. I didn't even see where that one made any changes. That one took out the vibrancy. So there's just some of these things that you can do that you can kind of play with, and it's kind of nice. So you can put filters. So if I wanted to put an afterglow, ooh, wow, that really, oh my, and you can adjust how intense that filter is or bring it down and not have a filter. You can go with solar, or you can have none. You can even take it down to grayscale, right? So, oh gosh, that's not pretty. So just, you have to kind of go through and play with these and find out what your style is. So for those of you who are doing social media and want to get into that, the voice of whatever business that you're working with has a definite look to it, and you may be helping them define that. So this kind of sepia toned looking thing might be what they're looking for, because they're an old-fashioned shoe repair shop or something. I don't know. So be aware that what you're doing for the shoe repair shop might not be the same for the restaurant downtown. Okay, but that gives you an opportunity to kind of play with these filters and see what they're going to do. So we can go through and adjust the photos, and like you can bring up the brightness, you can lower the brightness, you can leave it alone, you put it back to 0. You can bring up your contrast. So just it's Canva is adding this as sort of a almost a you know, a good photo editing. It's almost to the point where you could use this instead of Adobe Photoshop. Oh, look, I can blur it out if I'm so inclined, or I can make it extra sharp. So these are just all things that you just kind of want to play with. You can put a vignette on it. And then if you start playing with all this stuff and you're like, I did a terrible thing and made it really ugly, you can go reset and it goes back to where it was before. So that's really nice. Cropping it. So if I wanted to crop this down, I could. I don't really want to. I can flip it horizontally or vertically. So if I wanted to flip it, make it go the other way. So, and then, so there's also animations. Obviously you can see some of them are premium, so you can't see, but if we wanted to pan and have elements come in, I'll talk about that when I get more of the elements in. And so, okay. So that is kind of overview of the image or the photos that you can do. The other thing that I really like to do with especially background images is transparencies. So you can go in and bring this image down and make it kind of a transparent image so that you could put text or something over the top of it. It's kind of nice. So for those of you who are familiar with the Adobe suite, when you're designing in the Adobe suite, they have these things that are called layers. And so I could put a picture on a layer, I could put a text on a layer, I could put another element on a layer, I could put another thing of text on the layer, and then I could work with each one of those layers individually. My problem with Canva is when you start putting stuff on top of it, you suddenly get a lot of things in there, and it's sometimes really hard to select the item that you want. And so that is the one drawback that I see with Canva if you're getting into complex designs, and we're talking probably flyers, posters, those kinds of things that have a lot of elements on them would be where that would become an issue. But in general, it works really well, but just be aware, like, you know, if you keep clicking on something and you can't get it to select, that's because maybe there's something on top of it that you're not aware of and stuff. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Real quick, where was that transparency thing again?
Up in the upper right. No, you're fine. Thank you for asking. It's up in the upper right hand corner, right under the download button.
Ah, this. Okay, got it.
How cool is that, right?
I like it.
It's so cool. Okay, and there's also this little lock button. So that allows you to lock that item. So if you get it where you want it and you're like, okay, I don't want to move it, I don't want to mess with it and stuff, you can lock it. And then you should be able to put other items on top of it and play with those kind of in that layering effect. I believe that's what the lock does. So, okay, I'm going to, so I've already mentioned photos. So, you know, I talked about free. So we've got free. We've got lots of free. Eventually we'll get to premium ones eventually, but they actually have a sort so that if you're looking for a photo that's square or horizontal or vertical, or you're kind of looking in a color palette, you can put filters on. And when you're in the premium version, it actually will let you sort between free version and premium pictures and whatever. So it's weird to me that it doesn't sort it that way here in the free version that I'm using, but okay, we'll let it go. They're doing a pretty good job. So anyhow, so we've got this really nice picture. Elements. What are elements? Well, they're all kinds of things. They can be lines, boxes, shapes, little tiny illustration graphics. You know, we've got little things. So gradients going on, little tiny, these are clip arts kind of situations. So we've got this cute little, I think it's a doctor. Is that a doctor? Yes, of some sort. Anyhow, we've got leaves, we've got bowls. I mean, you can actually search for, if I wanted to, I could put in tea. And look, I've got a picture of a teacup that I can just put right on the top of this. How cool is that? All right, it's kind of dark, it's kind of black, but it's kind of interesting. Well, the cool thing about a lot of these elements, especially if they have a single color like the one I've chosen, you can go and change that color. So you click up here in the color and you can actually go and change it to one of these.
Huh.
So I'm going to get rid of this because I'm pretty sure that the reason I'm not getting a sampling of the colors from the picture is because I used an uploaded picture. So that being said, I'm going to pull this picture, which is kind of I guess it's an ocean or a beach thing. And then start with that because this is what I did and I know it works. So anyhow, so now I'm going to go and I'm going to find a gradient because I kind of like gradients. And gradients are when things search or change between colors. So you've got a box right here that's got this nice little, you know, between the turquoise and the purple, right? And I'm resizing it. It is a square and it keeps that same proportionality, which makes me, I'm like, I don't want you to be square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to size it up to the size of this. And then I'm going to double click on it. And it's going to give me different bars. And so now I can actually adjust its proportionality when I get that. So what I want is to kind of make it a vertical sidebar over here. And then I just click off of it. And look, there it is. It's cool, but the colors are kind of not great. So if I go like this and I click on this, here we go. Here's the photo colors that I was mentioning earlier. So if I want to change this to the turquoise to that kind of gray, I basically turned it into purple. Then I'm going to click on this purple and I'm going to kind of pick this. I don't like that. That's better. Okay. So now I've got a sort of gradient. And if I just decided that I wanted this one to be darker, I could do that, or I could actually pick from down here if I wanted it to look like that. So you just kind of have to play with the gradients until you find something that you like. And I just literally just picked the same two colors. Okay. Yeah, that one's fine. So this will allow you to, and you can just have a box with solid color too. You can choose that as well. So does somebody have a question? Nope. Okay, cool. So anyhow, so that's one of the kinds of elements. So like I said, if you pick an element like this guy, oh, you can actually change the colors on this. So some of the more complex pieces of clip art, they're harder to change the colors on. But son of a gun, they have changed that. So I can actually go in and I could make my Billy Goat, it's Billy Goat, Ram, whatever it is. Maybe he needs to be purple. So I want to change his color to purple. There he goes. It's purple. Okay, next I want to find a seashell because this is an ocean and we have all these really kind of beautiful and oh look, there's free ones and here's the premium ones. We're starting to get into premium, but it's interesting. There's a pro one and there's a free one that's almost exactly the same. So I grabbed this one on the last one I made and I brought it over here and it's really harsh as far as colors. So I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to pick a color. I'm going to turn it into this kind of, actually, I'm going to turn it white. And then I'm going to go and pick the transparency and bring the transparency down a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of offset it off the page a little bit. Okay. Now, why did I do that? So in designs, this is starting to get into the next part of our presentation, but it's a good time to talk about it. So in design, you want to continue to be visually interesting to things. And so one of the ways to do that is rather than having this smack dab in the middle, you offset it. I still can tell that this is a seashell, but it's not as important, but it adds visual interest to the design. So whenever you're working with something, think about making it bigger and maybe cropping it off the page a little bit. Maybe you can spin it. So by the way, if you, I should be able to spin, rotate. Why are you not letting me rotate? Oh, there it is. Okay, so when you click on an item and I want to rotate, so this, can you see this little guy? Sorry. You can hit the rotate. And then I can move it back. and be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I want it to be a little more like this. So some of this is just you have to get in and play with it. Okay, so those are elements. There's tons of them. Look for them. Just be aware if you've got the free version, try not to use any of the premium ones, so because they will charge you. And then go into text. Now, on the text, they've got free already designed text typography, okay, which is great. It's fine. And I will bring one of these in and show you an already designed one. And then I'll show you how to make your own. So I'm going to pick this one right here. I'm going to pop it right there on top. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of nice, I guess. So if I click on this, I'm like, I don't particularly like the font. So I'm going to pick this font and change it out. I'm going to increase it up here by going plus. And, you know, and then of course I can just retype and call it the Beach Club, right? We're doing a thing. Each one of these in this particular typography grouping, they have grouped all these things together so that when you can change the items individually, but when you go to move it, you have to select the entire box. And sometimes you have to click out of the design and click it so that you're not, you don't have just the individual. Because you see where I'm clicking right here, I've selected this part, but it's not letting me move it. I can just change the color, the typography, that kind of thing. But if I want to move the entire thing, I have to have that solid line rather than all the dotted lines. Now, one thing is if you can get with a text that you can ungroup these items if you need to change them. So I can go through and hit the ungroup button, and then I could click on this beginners and I could move it a little closer, could shift it over here if I wanted. I could even delete it. So, but then I want to select all of the items. And when I want to select multiple items, I click on them and hit the shift key and select all of them and then right click and it says group. Okay. There's also a little up here. It can say you can group or ungroup it up here. Okay. Does that make sense?
No.
No. Thank you for being honest.
Do that for me.
Thank you for being honest. Let me do that again. Okay. So I'm going to select the grouping. So I know it's grouped because up here it tells me that it's grouped. And when I pick it up to move it, it moves all of those things at one time. So if I right click on my mouse, I come up with a pop-up menu and it gives me a number of items, but down at the bottom it says ungroup. So once it's ungrouped, this is its own thing. They're all separate elements. So I can bring it back. And the great thing is when I bring it back, do you see how it's bringing these lines up and telling me that little pink dotted line right there? It's telling me, oh, look, it's left adjusted or left justified. Or if I wanted to right justify it, it would do it over here. But it will let you know. So you can just put it back in that spot. You're like, okay, this is good. This is where I like it. So I know it's selected. The first one selected, the graphic design. I hit the shift key and I click on Beach Club and I click on the date. And then I can hit group here, or I can right click and get that pop-up menu. It says group, and now it's all grouped again. Does that help, Rosemary?
Not really, but that's okay.
Okay. So when you watch this replay, go through and just do it. I think you just need to do it and you'll figure it out.
Okay, so, thank you.
Okay. So this is what we can do with already pre-designed fonts for you, this typography, which is great. It can be useful, but there's just times where you really want to do your own thing. And so that's where I go up here to where it says click and it says add a heading, add a subheading, add a little bit of text. So a heading, it's bold, it's a bigger font. The subheading's a little bit smaller. And then body text is probably a 12 to 14 point font. So I just literally click and drag to add a heading and it's right there. And it already has the default, which is this Open Sans extra bold. And I can say, oh, I don't really like that. It's a little boring. Maybe I'll do this script looking thing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. And if I want to make it bigger, I can just stretch. Just click on the corner right there when I get the double arrows. And I can make it bigger, smaller. And then I can say, okay, I don't like the color. And I can go back to my color palette and I can pick one of the colors that is in the photo. Or again, I can bring in a new color. So if I really wanted to go, oh, that hurts my eyes. Yeah, wow, I don't like any of those. So anyhow, find a color you like, dark gray, maybe a lighter gray, maybe white. Let's go with white. So you can choose this white and you can have it underlined. It doesn't give you options on this particular font to be able to bold or italicize it. That's because of it's already kind of a bold and italicized font. If you want something else, then just kind of scroll down until you find something that you like. And you can see how it just automatically adjusts. So I think, and if there's a particular font you want to see if there's one that they have, you can search for it. Or right here, I think it's really funny. They actually, I didn't know Filipino was a font type, but okay, let's see what it says. All right, interesting. Okay, and it's not a particularly readable font. So by the way, from a design standpoint, fonts are really, really fun and we love them. And I love interesting fonts, but these are what are called display fonts. And display fonts are, they're meant for small pieces of text. They're not meant for a body of text that's in a book or a paper or whatever. If you've got more than 5 words, you shouldn't be using these really funky display text or display fonts, just because they're just too hard to read and it fatigues the eyes and it makes your reader not interested in paying attention to this anymore. So use them judiciously. When I first started in graphic design, I learned, I found fonts and I was like, oh, they're the greatest thing ever. And I used fonts all the time and my stuff was unreadable. It was horrible. It was badly designed and my design professors despaired of me ever learning any better, but eventually I did. So anyhow, so use your fonts, those display fonts judiciously. So generally what I try to do is if a display font is something fancy like this and it has, this doesn't really have, oh gosh, what are they called? Serifs. So serifs are those little, it's kind of a serif font. So a serif is these little things that are at the end of the letter that kind of stop your eye from moving along. And so a sans serif font, as opposed is this something like this that doesn't, it's blocky and it doesn't have anything that stops your eye, so it just flows right through. So if I'm using a font with a serif, if I'm going to use a subheading, I'm probably going to use a sans serif font to so that it delineates between the two. In design, you really should limit your designs to 2 fonts, 3 at the absolute most, but that's after you kind of get good at it and you know how to use multiple fonts. Try to pick 2, and if you're picking 2, pick a serif font and a sans serif font. So your sans serif fonts tend to be Arial and Century Gothic, and Helvetica is another one. They tend to be just a little more boring, and that's fine. Boring gets the job done and allows people to read what you're doing. Okay. All right, so that's pretty good about text. And then we have audio. We can actually make audio, and most of the audio that's in here is on the premium version, but we can bring in audio and wow. Can y'all hear that?
Yes.
Okay, it was really loud because it's playing from a different speaker. So in this particular audio clip, they give you 2 minutes and 7 seconds, but it's only going to play 5 seconds. So I can go over here. Okay. So it just kind of will play in the different sections. So if that's something that you want to add, there's places where it can be useful. You know, TikTok is one place where we're getting a lot of audio. Instagram's copying TikTok, so we're getting a lot of audio that way. So it is something that's there. If you want more options, then you're going to have to pay for the premium. Oh, look, the tide is high is an option. That's not the song I was thinking it was. So, okay. Anyhow, I'm gonna take that out. If I wanted to animate elements, I could. Now, again, there's free, there's premium. So if I click on this, see how it's bringing in all my elements and making them change. So just add some interest to your design for when you're putting it out on social media. But it does make a little video clip. So it's different than a picture. So depending on where you are designing for, whether or not it is, you know, Facebook and all the platforms will take little videos and GIFs, but some of them are a little more persnickety about it sometimes. So mostly Facebook tends to be. So why do I keep getting notifications? Sorry about that. Okay, so that's really all you need to know about audio. It's there if you want to use it. Did you have somebody have a question? Nope. Okay, cool. All right, so videos. So if we wanted to go through and make some changes and turn one of this into a video, they have some free videos. And look, here's an ocean one, and I can just put it in the same spot. And it's already, there's some person swimming, and we got this little thing. So if I were advertising my beach vacation or talking about, you know, my Airbnb that's on the beach, this would be kind of a cool thing that I could do. So. And it will animate up here. It tells you for 10.7 seconds. So, but I've changed the colors. So now I need to probably go and change the colors of my, text, but it doesn't give me those sampled colors now. So now I have to kind of figure out better colors. Anyhow, so it's just a matter of playing with it. If you want to get very deep into this or not, I think there's cool stuff that you can do. If you want backgrounds, they have a whole bunch of just kind of backgrounds that you can just bring in. I've already put these in, but they click and drag in just like what you did before. So it covered up what that nice little video thing that I had. So I'm going to take that out, hit with the Control Z, but that's what backgrounds are. Okay, so I'm going to cover folders real quick because this is something that is more for premium in that, you know, if you have, and especially for those of you who are doing this for multiple organizations, you can divide and file all of your folders between different accounts and clients. So that's really handy. If I were to go through like any of the elements or any of the photos, and I found ones that I liked particularly, and I kind of wanted to save them, I can like the photo and then they would show up here. And then of course, the ones that I've purchased that are right there. So okay, I need to make sure that I've covered everything. I haven't been looking at my notes at all as I promised I would, but here we go. Okay, so the final thing in here is other things that you can do. So these are apps and integrations. So we've got Pixabay, which is a place for stock photography. So emojis, Google Maps, QR codes, Giphies, animated GIFs, right? Facebook. So you can hook up these apps and access the media that's there, right? Potentially YouTube videos, other images. So this is all, if you have access to any of these items, then Canva has added an integration for it. If you don't know what any of these things are, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to bother with it. You don't have to open that more menu ever, ever, ever again. So, okay, now the final thing that you have to do is download or share. Now, if I wanted to share with somebody and get their idea of, you know, I'm just going to type in my husband's email here because, and he'll be very confused when he gets this email because I don't think he knows what I'm teaching today. You're like, why did you send this to me? So I can allow him to edit, or he can just view it and say, you are my test subject. Or you can say, hey, I need you to take a look at this. Does it pass muster? I can invite him to be part of the team if I want to make him part of the team, or I can just invite him on this singular design. So I'll just send it to him, and there it goes. And of course you get the pop-up. Now, if I'm good and I'm ready and I want it to go, I'm going to go over here to the download button. So it's going to give me options. So of course, because there's an animation or a video in here, it's going to say, okay, well, you probably need to download this as a MP4 video to get the full effect, right? Because if you were to download it as a JPEG or a PNG or a PDF, it's just going to, it's not going to be animated, right? So it depends on what you're using it for. So if I were to go back to the photos and get rid of this guy and put this back here, because I really want to show you the download options. So it always downloads to a PNG. So PNG is a file format, and it's very similar. Both of them are equally used across the internet as far as being able to be viewed. The one thing that PNG comes through that I love about it is that it has a transparent background, or it can. So if you have a logo or something, so have you ever seen a logo that's on a poster or something, it has a big white box around it? That's because they sent it in a JPEG format and they didn't make the background transparent so that you could put it on top of a colored item. Having a transparent background PNG is a premium feature, which is, but it can be very useful. And if you want more information on that, let me know and I can tell you more about it. I'm starting to run out of time and I want to get to some other stuff. So I generally always download as a JPEG when I'm sending it out to social media, because JPEG is the most used format and it is the most universally viewed. So it's just so much easier. I'm to this day can't figure out why they keep suggesting PNGs. So, but here we are. If you want to download it as a PDF, you can certainly do that. If you want a print quality PDF, you have that option as well. If we wanted to have a GIF, which is a short looping video that just plays over and over and over again, you can do that. Here if I'd left that animation in there. So there's also integrations into my social media platforms if I had them hooked up into this account, which I do not. Now, you're always going to get a pop-up that says, hey, do you want to print something? Or, you know, they're going to ask you because they are trying to monetize their platform a little bit. And so you don't have to print with them. So if you were to design a business card, they're automatically going to say, hey, do you want us to print this for you? And you're, no, I'm fine, right? You can still download the file and then send the file to a printer. Okay, you do not have to print with them. So it always gives you this pop-up that makes you feel like, do I have to? No, you don't have to. Okay, so that is the run through. The other thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to open another tab and I'm going to go into my premium account real quick because I want to show you the one thing that I absolutely love about the premium, and it's the reason that I signed up for the premium account. So give me just a second for it to sign out. Nope. Give me the right account. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go click on this ADA compliance, whatever it was I was working on. I think it was a slide for a presentation that I was doing. And I'm like, you know, this is really cool, but I wish it was an Instagram post. And so an Instagram post, like I could go and create a blank Instagram post, go find this picture, insert it, redo it, do everything I need to do. Or I can hit the magic resize button and it's going to ask me what I want it to resize to. And I can click Instagram and it's going to make a copy of it. And it's going to make it into an Instagram perfectly proportioned. Now, I don't particularly like the way they crop the picture. So if I double click on the picture, I can see it and I can move it so that I can actually read all of that text that's on there. And then I just click in the gray and it's ready to go. And I can hit that download button. Again, it always comes up with the PNG. I'm going to go to the JPEG. I can decide on how big of a size I want. I'm probably going to, since it's going to stay on social media, I want it to be probably a 1, just because it doesn't need to be overly large. If it's something that I wanted to print, I would bump up the quality and go to the size so that it's much larger so that it's print quality. Okay, so that is the run through on how to go through and use most of the elements on your basic Canva. And then I'm going to bop over to a really cool little guy that I found on the internet. And we're going to talk a little bit about the basics of design and some of the things that you want to think about as you're putting stuff together. But while I get this set up, tell me, is there anything that, any questions that you have on the basic use of Canva that I haven't covered?
I have a question.
Okay, yes.
If you want to rotate an image, a Canva image 90 degrees,
Mhm.
can you show me how to do that?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Let me bop in there. Okay, let me share my screen. Hello. There it is. Okay, so if I click on this guy, where is the... So you should get a little, why is it not doing this? You should get a little pop-up, a little circle with multiple things on it. Let me bring in another element. Maybe that's what we need to do. So we'll bring in this weird floral element. And see right here is this kind of 2 arrows in a circle. And it allows me to just spin it however I want. And if you look, it'll tell you what the, so now we're at 45 degrees. Now we're at 95, 180 was up here. Does that help, Brittany? Does that?
That does help. So
Okay.
Can you only do that on elements and not photos?
You can do it on photos. I think because this is a background photo that I have in there, it is not letting me just spin it. So let's bring in a photo. So let's bring in Mr. Yeah, see, I can turn him all I want. It's because this is being used as a background. If I took this out and re-put it in and then I could spin it, but because it's the entire background, it's not letting me do it. So
if you wanted the photo to be rotated in the background, can you rotate it and then move it to the background?
you would just have to resize it to make it large enough to take up the entire background place. It wouldn't automatically fill. So when I bring it in to be a background, it automatically, you see when I click and drag something, like let's click and drag. So when I do that and it fills up that whole space rather than this, that's when it's become a background and there's just less stuff that you can do with it. Now, if I wanted to, I could bring him in like this and I want to spin him and make it like this. And then I just increase the size until it fills up the space. And then it looks like a background, but it hasn't become an actual background. So it's a subtle difference and it's kind of dumb, but that is how it works. So
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
If I wanted to develop an annual report for print for my organization, I see that there's a template for annual report, but it only has 3 pages. And then when you click on add page, you just get a plain white page. So how do you make it consistent with the other pages?
You would just duplicate the page.
Oh, you just duplicate the page and it lets you
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Do you just click on the page
There's-
itself and then say duplicate?
See right here, this little double box right up here that says duplicate page.
Oh, yes, I do see that. Okay, so then you can use that multiple times.
Right. So what I would do is set up a page that's kind of your template page. And then
Mhm.
just like, and thank you for that question, because that does bring up templates. So if you are doing something like I've seen Lynn has been doing some posting on her Assistance League of Boise with kind of a templated look for some of the posts that she's been making lately. And so you can actually make that a template so that, you know, it's basically like I've designed the template. This is what the background's going to be. This is where the logo's already there. And so you have that template and you just going and copy it. And then you just replace the picture and the text and stuff. So it's just a little faster. It helps with your workflow. So if you're doing a lot of these things, you can 100% use the templates and make things a template. So Gretchen, you raised your hand.
Hey, Kim, and this might be a little more technical. What I want to do is I want to be able to show my curated photos, my food photos in my Canva. Then I take it to my newsletters, my campaigns that I send out. But I want, you know, like I want steak and lobster to show up and then it to go away. And then I want steak and king crab to show up and it to go away. And I haven't been able to figure out how to do that on Canva. Does that make sense? So that it's
So,
like it's rotating photos in this spot. You want some time and maybe we can talk about it at the very end.
I'm going to have to think about that. The only thing that I've seen is there's the animation where it will, you know, you can have it animate different elements and so it'll bring them in.
Yes.
But I don't think that that's it. It does it so quickly that I don't think that that is going to be the best choice for you. But I will research that. And let me make a note about animated. I will tell you that I've done something very similar. And created an animated GIF. Do you know what a GIF is, right?
Sure.
Okay, I've created an animated GIF with photos, and I go to GIF Maker, and it's just free on the internet. And you upload all of your pictures, and you go, okay, how fast do I want this to go? You can actually add music to it if you want, and then you can download it.
That may be the thing.
And that may work. Now Giphy has that same functionality, but it just sucks. I hate using it.
All right, I'll stay away from that one.
Like I go to Giphy if I want to find already created GIFs. They have stuff. But if I want to create one, GIF Maker is the one that I use. And I would bet that Canva is going to bring in that functionality at some point. I have not seen it, but that doesn't mean that I haven't missed it. It could very well be there.
Then, and this may be along the same lines. I get an email from Crumble Cookie. I don't know if anybody else gets it, but it's fantastic because they just have, they have a PNG with a transparent background of their cookies. And the cookies kind of rotate back and forth about 10, 15 degrees, maybe. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen it?
I've seen similar ones, and what that is a GIF. That is an animated GIF, and it's exactly what I just said. They've taken pictures, or they've taken that same picture, and they're like, this one, rotate, 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 and they basically created a little animated GIF and saved it and put it into the newsletter.
All right, that really helps. I too have not been able to find that on Canva. And that was the main reason I jumped into this class, and now you've given me a different way to do it. So I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, Jody says her Canva doesn't have the top line like mine does, the font, the bold, the italic.
No, I figured it out.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I just had to double click on it.
Thank you. And so I realize I'm missing all of these. Okay, now I got to go back. I missed all of this. I have the chat over in a different window. I apologize. So while we're talking right now.
One other quick question. So if
Yes.
I go to the work to design like an annual report for my organization and then I download it, they're not going to charge me for it. It's actually free.
Supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you ask them to print it for you, then they'll charge you for that. So, okay. So can you review how, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. How do you save your files on the desktop, right? How do you save your work and can you save your files to the desktop? Yes, Conda, absolutely. It's the download. And when I hit download, I'm going to choose what kind. So a JPEG, and I hit download and it's automatically downloading to my download file because that's what I've got set up on this computer. And so wherever you normally download, you can download to your download file or to your desktop. It's kind of the predetermined thing on your computer. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So what is saturation? So saturation is how much color is in a picture. So if I saturate something, it really goes in and pops out all of the colors. So if I went into, where are the effects? So where's my effects? Oh, it was the filter, I think. Yeah. So which one was it that I was using where I said it was really saturated? That's not one of them. So you just see the colors just seem, see, this is kind of desaturated where they've kind of come in and they've taken out some of the color. Here's the one where it's saturated in the red tones. So it really brings up the amount of color in the picture. So, and Angie asked if I can group the elements, and yes, I think I've answered that, didn't I? Show how that was done.
Yes, you did at a later
Okay.
point, so it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, and thank you, Rebecca. Increase the saturation you do and increase the intensity and the vividness. So, can you rotate the photos? I couldn't see your screen. I had to walk away, but I heard you talk about magic resizing. Yes, I will talk about that. So, so I'm going to delete this and just make this. So, the magic resizing this is an Instagram post. What if I want to make this into an email header? I can click to the resize button. This is a premium feature. Choose what it is, and I can make it a custom size, or I can pick one of the preloaded templates and then hit copy and resize, and it automatically makes him do that. So now we have an email header. So Jody says I could have a class for each design element. Yeah, they probably have to be a little shorter, but yeah, I'll have to talk to the community ed folks and see if they want to go that deep. So speaking of design, we've got just 9 minutes, and I want to share just a little more about design, because I know that most of you don't have a background in design, and so I just want to talk about that a teeny tiny little bit. And okay, come on. I love it when I keep losing things. There we go. You wouldn't think I'd been using Zoom constantly for the past 1.5 years, would you? So, okay, so I found this really great. I've been looking around because it's been a while since I was in graphic design school. And so I wanted to talk about certain things. So, and I can send this to you afterwards if you're so inclined. So things to think about when you want to enhance your social media. So color. So color conveys emotion, personality, and it can set your mood and atmosphere. Thank you, Carol. I will send this out to you. And so, if you're in healthcare, we tend to use blues, darker, medium blues, and greens because health, right? Banks tend to use those things too because they are colors that we feel connected to and we feel trusting to, right? Also, Restaurants use red and yellow because those two colors promote um, appetite. So when most major brands of restaurants have red in their logo somewhere because of that. Purple tends to be something that is seen as a little more carefree or royal. I actually can send you, I have a thing that talks about like color theory that I send out all the time to people, because I think it's fascinating, is when I do orange, and if I do a nice pumpkin orange, automatically I think about Christmas, or not Christmas, Halloween, right? But if I do an orange that's more subtle, that's got more brown tones in it, suddenly I'm thinking more fall, kind of warm, pumpkin spice lattes and chai tea and things like that, right? So think about what you're saying with your color choices. If it were me, as you might tell, I really love the color purple. And so I love purple, but when I design things for clients, they don't necessarily want everything to be purple, right? Because that's not their brand. So just because it's my preference, it doesn't mean that I get to use it and everything. Okay, balance. So if you have things, you want to think about what the balance is of the items. So when I designed that ocean thing, I had the little guy, the seashell kind of off onto the side, and I had the strip of color and then the ocean view and stuff. So it was balanced, but it didn't look balanced because it was a little off center. But if I had put everything in there that were all the same size, then visually I would be like, okay, that doesn't make any sense and it's not balanced. So if you put everything over on the left side, you put a ton of text over on the left side, and then you just have white space over on the left side, that's not balanced and people don't respond to your design. So be thinking about how this works. In design, we also have what's called a hierarchy of scale. And so in that hierarchy of scale, we talk about, okay, how does my eye travel through a design? What's the first thing it sees? What's the second thing it sees? What's the third thing it sees? And when you say, okay, well, if that's the first thing I see, is that the most important thing that I need it to see, or I need the eye to see? And if it's not, then we need to change its size, its color, something to make the eye go to it first. Okay, so lines are great because they can guide your eye through a design. You can use them, horizontal or vertical or diagonal or however you want. You can have squiggly lines and big fat lines and whatever, but think about them. And now that I've directed your attention to these things, start looking at well-designed things that you respond to and go, they used lines on me to make me look at the call to action or pay attention to the sale price or whatever it is, right? Okay, typography. Typography is the use of type, your fonts. And it says here, limit to 3 typefaces. Really, really recommend 2 getting started, and then work up to 3 when you feel a little more comfortable, so it just doesn't look like a big hot mess. Okay, kerning is the space in between. Kerning is the space in between letters. Okay, I always have to stop and think about that. So so sometimes your font is squished together a little bit, and so your space in between letters is really tight, and it's hard for the eyes to read. And sometimes the kerning is really wide, and there's a lot of space in between letters, and there's reasons for doing both. You have to use them well. Leading is the space in between lines of text, and so your computer automatically sets your leading. And I will tell you, the greatest thing I learned in design school was never let the computer tell you what to do. Okay, I will say that that is 100% the best thing I learned in graphic design, was not letting the computer determine what my design was going to be. And one of those things is that automatic leading that goes into your designs. So learn about leading and let that adjust it as you need to and as you can, and you'll start to understand. So okay, contrast. So with the kind of beachy looking thing that I showed you, I kind of kept everything in the same palette, but when I went to put the words in, I added some contrast to it. So I did white, bright white, the dark black, or, you know, a color. So I wanted to have color to offset that type from the elements in the background so that we could see the type, because in the hierarchy, I want people to read the type more than I want them to look at the pictures. Okay, so I've already mentioned scale, so sizing your elements. So some things, if you make them bigger and offset them, or you make them smaller, it depends. You kind of have to play with them, but don't be afraid. Don't let the computer say, okay, this is the size we say it is. Go in and play with it and play and adjust it. That'll really make your designs pop. Proximity. So when you put things together, do they need a little breathing space around them? You know, if you've got two spaces, this is the one I see is like people put a picture and then they'll put a wall of text right up next to it and there's no space in between. And oh, that hurts my soul. So give it a little room to breathe. And by the way, don't be afraid of white space. Just because you have this box doesn't mean you have to fill it with a ton of text or everything. Let there be some space to breathe so the eye has some time to rest. That's what white space is. It's really good for us to know that and allow for it. Okay, I already mentioned the hierarchy of scale. What are the most critical elements first? Up and down, right? Repetition. Repetition can be amazing. So on that design that I did, I could have done that seashell like multiple times up the side, and then I would have this really cool design element that went along the side. And if I had done them in kind of a circular pattern, then I would have gotten that Fibonacci spiral thing going on that's already in the seashell. Would have been kind of interesting. What is the direction? So think about patterns that our eyes travel. So for those of you who have talked to me about website stuff, our pattern of our eyes go in a Z pattern, but F's and E's are also really good. So when you're designing, think about, I'm putting things in kind of a Z pattern or F and E. And be deliberate with how you want people's eyes to travel through your design. And I've already talked about space. Don't, you know, don't butt things up against each other. Give them room to breathe. Okay, so that's what I got. And it is 11:30 straight up. So I'm here to talk for a few more minutes if anybody has any questions, but if not, you're free to run away and enjoy the rest of your Friday. So, and please, by all means, please tell me, send me an email, tell me right now, what was useful? What did you like? What did I miss? What did I not do good?